Hello everybody and welcome to yet another one of my YouTube videos. Today we're going to take apart this GT1752V Turbocharger. It's a variable geometry turbocharger, you can tell by the positioning of the actuator. This turbocharger came off of a 2.2 liter CDT-I Honda. I don't remember if it's the Accord or the Civic, but it doesn't matter. I had this turbo for about 3 years. Unfortunately, 2 years ago my house flooded. Well, my garage anyways, and this turbocharger was inside the garage when it happened. As you can maybe see. I don't know if it's gonna be clear. I don't think so, but there is some mud inside and stuff like that, as you can see over here as well. All muddy, a bit of rust. So we're gonna take it apart and we'll have a look at cleaning it and inspecting the parts to see if they move freely and if anything needs changing. So I'm gonna start off with removing the vacuum actuator. These are the two bolts that hold the actuator in place. Very tiny. Put them aside. And then we'll have to disconnect the actuator arm from the mechanism. Looks like I need a pair of pliers for this. Ideally you will most likely want to do this with a special pair of pliers for the job, but I don't have them, so I'll just take these ones and try to get it out. Right now you're probably gonna say, oh no, what's he going to do with that screwdriver? Well, these were dirt cheap and they don't really screw in screws very well. So I use them for prying off stuff and I don't care if they break. So my batteries had just died. Okay, I changed them. And we'll continue. So this is the little clip that came out. Also put it aside. And now you should be able to undo the actuator. It's still holding vacuum pretty well, as you can see, because these actuators are actually vacuum actuated. Okay. Might just give it a clean and I think it'll be okay to go. Next up, well, this can go either way actually. You have the bolts for the compressor housing and you have the bolts for the turbine housing. I think I'm going to start with the compressor housing. Smaller. So this is number 8. Try to undo them evenly around. I don't know if it matters, but I suspect there's a seal inside. If you don't undo them gradually, you might kill the seal. Though it would most likely be good practice to change it anyway. Like so. So this will take forever. Wait a second. Yes. So these are ratchet type. You can change them in another direction. It's on. It should be off. Yes. It's nice when you have a variety of tools to do the job, and you have the luxury of choosing the right tool. Oh, it's coming loose. It's nice to know it's coming loose already. This means that there isn't a pin and slot in the housing, so you could reposition the housing in any way you want. For instance, if your turbo is mounted this way to your manifold, wait, I'm gonna turn it around. So this way to the manifold, you can rotate the housing in any direction you would like it to be, which makes it very good for other than factory applications. Like, I intend to use this one on my engine build. Would you guys like to see my original turbo? I just thought of it. I have it right here. It's still attached to the manifold. So this is the new one. This is the old one. As you can see, the compressor housing is a lot smaller on the original one, as well as the turbine housing. But the biggest difference, this being a variable geometry turbo, and this one is still a waste-gated turbocharger. Just for your information. It's very rare to have a waste-gated turbocharger that is also vacuum actuated, sorry for that. But I'm lucky because I have one, so this will make it easier to adapt it for the variable geometry turbo. Okay, we continue. Need to get these bolts off. I'm noticing there is some RTV, I suppose it is, on the thread of the bolts. So I'm gonna keep that in mind, and we're gonna reseal the bolts with some RTV I have lying around once we reassemble the turbocharger. Still not coming off, but we're getting there. Be patient. Let's see. Okay, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 bolts, and there it comes. As you can see, there is quite a bit of gunk. There's even, I think it's a bug. Yes, it's a bug. Other than that, the compressor wheel still looks okay. No apparent damage. Still rotates quite freely. Okay, that's good news. We'll look at the housing next. Yeah, there's some, I think it's oil actually, a little bit of oil, most likely coming from the intake case ventilation on the original engine, so that's nothing to worry about. We'll clean it up. Other than that, it's relatively light, and I'm also going to try and polish this housing up to go on my engine, but we'll look at that in another video later. Now it's time for the turbine housing, and there's gonna be another size. Yep, that's a size 10. So, same as before, break the torque on them if they want to. Not really easy. Gonna try to position it so it's pretty stable. Yes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think 6. Yes, 6. This one I had already done. Yep. Again, take the ratchet type. Should do it. And we're off. Also, a little side note on this turbocharger. It's actually a oil lubricated and cool, of course. Oil also cools the turbocharger. CHRA assembly. But it's also water cooled. So this will bring forth, wow, a little bit more of a difficulty. And if you would ever go down the route of using this type of turbocharger, I would recommend you to look for one on eBay or at the breakers, but make sure the intake pipe comes with it, as well as the piece that bolts onto the exhaust housing. There's another small piece, and you could also ask for the oil feed and return line. I think it's located on this side, if I'm not mistaken, and the water cooling feed and return line, because they are quite expensive. I've just been to the Honda dealership, and for the oil feed line they were charging somewhere around 100 and almost 170 euros, and the water feed and return line was something of 50 euros. So just a little bit of information. Make sure they're with it when you buy it. It's just that much easier, because I don't feel like paying 170 euros for something I will need to chop up to make it fit my vehicle. I'll be going down some other eBay sellers and possibly some breaker yards in the vicinity and try and look for those parts. So let's see if it wants to come out. I've taken out the 6 bolts. Seems like it's quite hesitant at this point. I did get some movement in this lower half. I'm going to take a little hammer and maybe a block of wood. Yes, I got it. So don't just tap metal to metal. If you have a plastic hammer, use that one. But if not, you could just use a block of wood. Put it against the side, give it a little tap, turn it around. Okay, it's free, and there it is. As you can see, this is what a diesel is best at: creating soot. The turbine itself looks okay, not too dirty, although something is, yeah, it's running quite rough at the moment. Like I said, I do believe this one is not balanced as a whole, but I'll have to check it. But I think the turbine wheel and the shaft are balanced together, and the compressor wheel is balanced on its own, or should be. I've seen it done numerous times like this on other turbocharger, although this nut has a little indent in it. What I'm going to do is I will mark the location of the nut on the compressor wheel, and I'll try my best to get it in the same location if I would undo them. But at first I will flush the channels and just soak it in some carbon cleaner, and we'll go from there. So besides that, this is the VNT housing, or well, the mechanism. As you can see, there is three, I think they are bearings, yeah, little bearings in here, and the arms that make the mechanism move. And the movement is given through by this little bell crank in here. As you can see, this moves. Rather limited, but it does. And it engages in this slot, and that will make the vanes move from left to right, open or closed. If I'm not mistaken, if the turbocharger is not required to create boost, the vanes will be in the open position, and if you are boosting, they will be closed and they will gradually open as boost builds up. I'm gonna try to take the synchronizing ring out. Yes, it's coming out with ease. Okay, I also have the bearings. I don't think I need to note their location. They should be the same, although I'm going to keep them in their places. To undo the VNT mechanism itself, there are 1, 2, 3 torques, or how do you call them in English, bolts in here. So I'm gonna try and search the correct size bit for that. I've got this very handy little kit from Makita. It's got most sizes in it except for these 30s, which are fairly commonly used on my car, so I bought them extra. I think this is a 25 fits, but just to be sure, I'm going to check if a 27 also would fit, and it doesn't. So okay, it's Torx 25. Take a 1 1/4 English sized socket. It fits in it, so I'll use this one. Put it on the breaker bar, and I hope they will come loose as they're supposed to. Yes, that's 1, 2, and 3. When I am about to reassemble this, I will most likely use some thread seal on these 3 bolts, because it is susceptible to quite a lot of vibrations and thermal expansion, so you wouldn't want them to come loose while you're driving, or in any other case for that matter. So that's the 3 bolts. They're quite little, so you wouldn't want to put too much strain on these when you're retorquing them. I will try to look up the correct spec, but again, I don't know this yet. See if the mechanism wants to come out, and there it goes. Just for my own reference, this little piece over here and these 2 are located over here. Okay. Oh, and here is the 3rd one. So here is the mechanism. As you can see, all very little veins inside, and there's also one spacer over here, another over here, and another one here. Again, quite a lot of soot buildup, which is to be expected on a diesel engine. I'm going to remove the spacers, and we'll have try to have a look at it again. So I don't really know if the veins would close fully and the air would get past them at some point to bypass the turbine wheel, but here's how it should work. As the veins are closed, you would have the ideal angle of attack on the greatest angle of attack on the turbine wheels. As you can see, the air is going here and is directed on the turbine wheels. When the veins open, you would have less directional force in that way on the wheel, so it would decrease building boost. Or I think, might be telling a lie, I would have to check again to be sure. So if I'm wrong, I'll most likely do a voiceover on this. And the housing as it sits. So there we go. So the exhaust gases would be flowing in through here, and there is a little opening over there, and the air gets forced around and into the vanes, pushes against the turbine wheel and exits through the housing. Okay, so that was that. I hope you got something out of this video, and the next time I will try to clean up the parts. I will try to get some diesel to start off with, and we'll just let them soak in the diesel and see how it goes. If that doesn't help, I'll be moving on to some tougher stuff. But anyway, thank you for watching, and see you next time.